Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. My name is Edson Ochoa, and accompanying myself is our co-host, Jacob Young. Jacob, how's it going, man?
It's going great. Looking forward to this show. Always love to talk soccer and, of course, talk.
I think it would have been best to let everybody down in the valley have their day to spend their time with their friends, with their family, and celebrate Independence Day and things like that. And number two was because yesterday at RGV at HB Park there was that match between Club America and Club Pachuca from Liga MX. So I figured a lot of people would be over there. So but I'm thankful that we're back for another episode. And before we go any further, I do want to go ahead and thank the Beautiful Game Network for all of the help that they bring to this podcast. Be sure to check them out on their social media at the BGN FM on Twitter as well as Facebook. Be sure to also follow them on their website, www.bgn.fm. While you're there, check out not only our podcasts, but also other USL podcasts like the USL Show, Rising as One, Unused Substitutes, etc., etc. Be sure to check out our webpage, which is downintheRGV.com. We upload our podcasts there. As well, or actually we link them from SoundCloud. And speaking of SoundCloud, follow us on SoundCloud, down in the RGV. Our podcasts are also available on the Google Play Store, iTunes, Stitcher, and that's pretty much it for now. Before I forget, also be sure to check out the Beautiful Game Network's sponsor, which is Roughnecks Scarves. They are the official scarf supplier of the USL. MLS and NCAA. So if you ever need to look for a scarf for your favorite MLS team, Roughnecks is sure to have it. Or if you guys want to create your own scarf design, for, let's say, a supporters group, or for, I don't know, your Sunday League soccer team. You guys want to go all kind of pro style on it? You can, Roughnecks Scarves will be sure to help you out in that regard. So be sure to check them out. On their website at let me get that right. This is not working. All right. www. Oh, come on, Google, don't do this to me now. Sometimes I hate technology. www.roughneckscarves.com, or you can also call them at 855-873-2673. So, having said all of this, let's get down to business, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, be sure to leave. Phone lines will be open. Be sure to call us at 956-622-5977. Once again, the number is 956-622-5977. Give us your hot take. Let us know. What do you think? What do you think about the Toros so far? Did you go to yesterday's Club America versus Pachuca match? How was it? Did you enjoy it? Have you ever gone to a Toros match before? And we'll be talking more about that later on in the program as Ray will join us around 8 p.m. But first of all, we got to talk Toros. So, Jacob, what happened this week?
Well, what happened this week was the Toros obviously took on St. Louis FC. Pretty tough to say that, considering that I really want to say San Antonio FC. But no, they played St. Louis FC, and it was a solid performance from RGVFC. I know people are going to say, guess what, a draw is nothing. But when you're on the road, no matter what, that's a fantastic result. If it was at home, that would be a different story. But I'm sorry, a point on the road, no matter who it's against, that is fantastic.
Yes and no. And we kind of gone over this in the chat. I know we mentioned on it that weekend. Yes, because obviously, when you're going away, when you're playing away, it's a decent result because you're going up against everything against you. You don't have any fan support from your peers. You're going into a completely different environment that you're used to, whether it's climate, whether it's the hostility of the fans per se. But And that's a good result. However, we're at a point where drawing is not enough for the Toros, and we need to get some better results, and we're at a point where we can't just settle for getting decent results at home. And if we want to make it, if we really want to make it to playoffs and prove the rest of the Western Conference that we're a decent team, we have to get more than 1 point on the road as well.
Well, yes, but also you take a look at the lineup that actually went out, I believe, on that night, and you saw different starters that normally don't start. You finally saw a chance for Kai Green to show what he was made of, and he actually did a really nice job. Nico Cordy was back at goal, which was great to see him back, considering the fact that he's our actual keeper. And the defensive line was the line for the defense was basically stacked. I don't entirely know exactly who started on that defensive side, plus the midfield. And then, of course, the attackers, yes, we're always going to say that the attackers need to be improved, whether it's getting more veterans on attack or something like that, but it doesn't help that we don't have any Max Steves anymore, which maybe we'll get into that later. But the point being, it was a better squad than I've seen in a while. And so making that of a big stretch, I think we can actually get things done at home moving forward with this same lineup.
I really hope so, and that we can get some decent results. I'm just really I've gotten to a point, and it's probably not your case, but I've gotten to a point where I've been super skeptic now, at least in our when it comes to the attack, because it's just game after game after game. No matter who we put in, it's always the same results. Very little goals being scored on. The defense is getting the job done, but we need to get some goals in, because we cannot continue to completely rely on what the defense does, or in the attack we cannot continue to just rely on what Chuy Enriquez can try to do, and we've out on the left wing.
Yeah, no, I agree on that for sure. But, I mean, my point is, yes, this game was actually on the road, and St. Louis, give credit to St. Louis FC, because they could have blown RGVFC a bit out of the water. And why I say that is because their counterattacking game, like every other team, was on point. Yeah. They were really good. And, of course, it still was the struggling part when RGVFC would get corners. They weren't able to put anything in the back of the net for that reason. But it's a corner. What else do you want? Because we all know corners are 50-50 most of the time, because one player is going to say from the defense, I'm sure as heck not going to let my player get to the ball or score. And so it's just going to get headed out 90% of the time. But it's looking to me, especially from this game, like we have a chance at home versus Tulsa. Once again, it is Tulsa Roughnecks. Normally we do well against this team, but it's going to take just a little bit more, especially at home, to get that goal, to get that go-ahead goal, and to get our offense moving as well as our defense moving.
Like I said, really, really, really hope so. So looking at this lineup that was presented on Saturday, you mentioned Kai Green was back on the lineup finally. So you had Nico Cordy on goal, Kai Green, Sheldon Sullivan, Omar Ontiveros, and Kyle Adams. Now I am assuming that Sheldon Sullivan was out on the left as a left back. Am I correct?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. So Sheldon Sullivan, and we've mentioned it before, but Sheldon Sullivan continues to impress, because now this allows Kyle Adams to move back to his preferred position, which is the center back. And I know in the beginning we had Derek Luke, and then he proved to not be fit still after his injury, after his surgery in the knee, to continue to get starting minutes with this team. And so we had to improvise with Kyle Adams, out on the left hand side, and yeah, go ahead.
Actually, sorry, but it was Sheldon Sullivan that was out on the left wing, and Kyle Adams was right beside him. And then, of course, it was Omar Ontiveros right beside Kyle Adams, moving to the right, and then Kai Green on that right wing.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. More along the lines that in the beginnings with Derek Luke not proving himself ready. We had to improvise with Kyle Adams in that position and have Omar Ontiveros and Connor Donovan. And so the question was, well, what is our depth in that position? We really had nobody. At least that's what we thought. And then recently, Jerson Echeverry is starting to give Sheldon Sullivan minutes in that position, and he's proven himself worth, especially with the fact that you have Connor Donovan being called up by the Houston Dynamo for Open Cup or for the Charities Cup match, and so you really had no choice but to put somebody else in the center back position to fulfill that spot. Last week, not this game against St. Louis, but the game against Phoenix Rising, and not mistaken, you couldn't have Omar Ontiveros playing because he had accumulated a suspension, and so I think you can say we really found a gem in that position with Sheldon Sullivan, and he's proven his worth. He's proven that he's ready for USL minutes and for being in the professional, and he's more than up for the task to whoever is going to be in front of him.
Most definitely. It's crazy that finally, of course, just like you said, yes, we found a person that has shown us that he is ready, that he is almost basically better than the other player. And it's fantastic. Of course, yeah, we're praising on this defensive line. Of course, we're going to start to talk about this midfield and above. Mm-hmm. That's going to need some changing, but at the same time, it's looking good. Like we can have this all-star team, if obviously not this year, with all these players most likely coming back for next year, considering maybe a couple of new faces getting sent away and getting sent to us. Mm-hmm. It's looking like a promising next year.
Definitely. And then with the fact that, as Sean has mentioned before, the Dynamo really doesn't have as much of a need to pull players from RGV compared to years before. We might see a more consistent roster for this upcoming year. And that'll only help with the chemistry with this team. We just need there's just some missing pieces here and there that need to be added for this team to function and really to fulfill both requirements that the Dynamo has on this team. Number one, obviously, develop players that are ready for MLS for first team. But number two, and this is mostly on the fans' regard, is be competitive enough to challenge for the USL Cup. And I really think right now, in the eyes of the Dynamo, we fulfilled number one, but we haven't fulfilled number two. Now, maybe next season we might start seeing the fact that we're going to be fighting for number two, and we really hope so. Now, as we said last week, Matt Jordan was in RGV, which means that Matt Jordan is worried about the fact that we are not getting results in the USL, which means they're going to be making some moves. I sincerely hope. Why else would Matt Jordan take time away from his busy schedule to look for Dynamo players, to go to the RGV, talk to the players, talk to the coaching staff, talk to the RGV front office, and see what needs to be done. So, there's light at the end of the tunnel. for next season. This season, I guess we're just going to have to settle with playing spoiler as much as we can and see if that'll be enough to maybe make it to the playoffs. But right now, because of this slow start, it's not really looking too good for playoffs. But at least we know that our baseline, which is the defense, is working as expected. Now, take a look at this. So these are the 2018 stats so far. Well, you can't really look at it because I have no way. But so far, clean sheets. Number 1, Carl Wasinski with 7 clean sheets with Phoenix Rising FC. Tied at number 1, Andre Rawls, Orange County SC, with 7 clean sheets as well. Guess who's in third place? Nico Cordy with 5. He's gotten more clean sheets, one more clean sheet, than Diego Restrepo, who was fighting last season to get the Golden Glove. So what does this mean? The defense is working well. Also, we're not counting the couple of games in which another goalkeeper played, more than anything, Michael Nelson's match against Phoenix Rising, where we also kept a clean sheet there. So that's a minimum of 6 clean sheets by RGVFC defense. So the defense is working correctly, and I would dare say that our defense, for the most part this season, has been up on par with teams that are higher up in the standings of the USL. What's our problem? We cannot put that ball into the net. Once we can find players, or once these players that we have are able to get their ghosts out of their system and are able to constantly put the ball inside the net, I think we're looking at a really, really good competitive RGVFC.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, yeah, just to talk more about this St. Louis FC game, the lineup was there, especially Nicolas Perea in front of Kyle Adams and Omar Ontiveros. Mm-hmm. And then Enrique, and this is now the midfield, Enriquez with Saldivar and Pablo Aguilar and Bryce Marion right there in that midfield. So the midfield also isn't really the problem. Of course, they're trying to get the ball forward, just some missed passes from that game. But Bryce Marion, we've seen him. He is small, but at that same time, he's got this burst of speed, and he's got help that, in my opinion, not a lot of players have for at least this team. And so he's looked good. The only problem is, like you said, is we're relying too much on Chuy, which Chuy actually didn't start this game. It was Aldo Quintanilla up front as forward, and that's a lone forward. In my experiences, in my eyes, I don't think a lone forward is what we need. We need someone that can actually have that team ability together, but at the same time, that's what we're lacking at that offensive side.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you point that out, because if I'm not incorrect in what I'm going to say, we tend to play with a lone striker, but as you say, it just doesn't seem to work with Aldo Quintanilla if you can't get him balls inside the box. And so you mentioned yourself, we need somebody in the middle as well to accompany Aldo Quintanilla. Kind of play maybe a 4-4-2 formation, 4-4-1-1, where the attack isn't really so heavily biased towards the wings. And we keep on mentioning it, but maybe going back to how Gerson Echeverry runs this team, it might be the fact that maybe Jones just isn't ready to get starting minutes. I don't know why, because I would see the best connection between on this offense was when when Aldo Quintanilla and Jordan Jones were paired together up on top. Just take a look at that game against Fresno.
Exactly, and I mean that's a great example right there. That game against Fresno FC, where basically, in my opinion, both sides of RGVFC didn't have it together. Yes, we had offense. We had the offense putting balls into the back of the net. We could have won that game with just the offense, but then the defense didn't really show up, giving away two goals, I believe. Yeah, because it was tied 2-2. And yeah, it's just that's where that offense needs to be. That's where we need that connection. What happened to that What happened to that connection? We really don't know because of the fact it just dropped off right after that game where RGVFC wasn't really scoring goals. And so, I mean, going back to even, Saturday's game, it was the same way of just RGVFC. It was missing with Aldo Quintanilla. Aldo tried too much in a way, and that's what you're going to get when the fact is, of the example is, you can't get balls to him in the box. He's going to try and get there himself. And then, of course, we had bad shot after bad shot throughout that game, with a total, actually, of team shots for us was 10. We had 2 on target, though our defense did a fantastic job with only allowing 1 shot on target for St. Louis.
And I think that's big. That we were able to only limit 1 shot on goal on target with St. Louis FC. It speaks well of the pressure that these defenders are putting on these attackers to not make them comfortable enough to be able to get a decent shot on goal. And the fact that whenever they do, we have a goalkeeper that's up to the task to get the save on, whether it's Michael Nelson or whether it's Nico Cordy. But we keep on going back to this. Just something needs to be done. Now, my question, I mean, you analyzed this match a lot. And RGVFC, you tended to use a 4-2-3-1 formation, usually. Todd Warden in the back, along with Nico Perea, or Todd Warden with occasionally Jorginho, maybe not even, or Todd Warden and Pablo Aguilar or Saldivar. But it was usually 2 center defensive backs. From what I'm looking and what you're telling me this time, there was only 1 center defensive midfield in this match. What difference did you see? What difference did this formation bring to this team? And did you enjoy it, or do you think that we should go back to the 4-2-3-1?
No, I enjoyed this defense. Like I said, they were spectacular to stop St. Louis from basically attacking and getting that counterattack that normally it's normally us that we kind of get. Because, I mean, we've seen constantly at home and those types of games that it's mainly that's where we get burned. And so I liked it that we were able to stop them, especially Nico Perea. That's an interesting, spot that it was a 4-2-3-1 in a way. And it just, it was fun to watch for sure. And it was a good effort, like I said before. So, I mean, I hate to just repeat myself, but I enjoyed it.
Well, we'll see if Jerison Echeverry continues to use this new formation, which I highly doubt because now they're going to get Todd Warden back, who, by the way, if you guys did not see the Charities Cup match last week, man, Eric Bird is tearing it up, even in MLS. So but Todd Warden actually was the only RGVFC player called up to the Houston Dynamo. I'm not counting Connor Donovan because he's already an MLS first team player. But Todd Warden looked decent out there. There were some times where he looked a little shaky. I'm guessing he was nervous going up against one of the best teams in Liga MX, which is Rayados de Monterrey. But he was able to hold his own, and he played for 90 minutes. Now, in the second half, and it's interesting, but Wilmer Cabrera actually used Todd Warden as a right mid. And so I talked to Todd Warden about it, And I asked him, like, well, how did it feel? Was it simple, or how difficult was it for you to get used to in such a different position that you usually end up playing, which is center defensive mid, and now you're playing right mid. And he's like, it's a position that I've only played maybe once in college. But when you're at this level and the coach tells you you're gonna play here, I'm gonna play there. And I think he did. I think he did okay, considering the fact that he was going up like I said, a Liga MX team. I think he did okay. Nothing that stands out, for example, with crosses. But then again, most of the attack at the end of that Dynamo match versus Rayados was pretty much improvised because of the lack of the Dynamo's depth up on top. But Todd Warden, the fact that he's that professional, and okay, never played this position, but you know what? I don't care. I'm going to continue and work and do the best I can in order to show the coach that I am up for the task, for whatever this team needs. The fact that he gets dirty like that, it just goes to show the great depth of professionalism and why he deserves to be the captain for RGVFC.
Exactly. And we've talked about it, how matured not just he is, but the whole RGVFC team. They game in and game out, they've taken responsibility for their actions of how poorly they played or things like that. And so it's really impressive that, especially him, that he's just that mature, and he's really going to be a real star for, if not Houston Dynamo, which I really do hope for, if not them, then some MLS team is really going to want this guy, because A, they're not going to have to teach him how to be mature, and B, he's going to be a great player on and off the field, with maybe some charity work in between, which we all know that a lot of MLS teams do it, which is awesome. And so it's fantastic, especially, hopefully they don't just take him away at the end of this season. Hopefully he's able to stay at RGVFC for at least one, if not one season, then one more half season until Houston really needs him, because this man, not only has he been able to get a couple of players to mature as well, but he's really kept this bond of this chemistry of players together. That's why this defense has been so successful as well.
And I think that Todd Warden needs to stay, yes, maybe one more season or one more, at least, so we can give the team enough transition time to prepare the next one in this pipeline, the next Todd Warden to be the captain, to be the leader of this team, and I think we're starting to see some strides in that, with the Houston Dynamo being, more cautious about this and getting this transition done correctly. So we're gonna make a little pause, Jacob. You were gonna bring up something before we went live on the show. Go ahead and release it.
Well, this is, I've waited for this day, even though this man is just, I've lost a lot of respect for him, but it's okay. Tyler Derrick has officially been reinstated by Major League Soccer. Dynamo to loan Derrick to RGVFC. This is official by, of course, the Houston Dynamo webpage. And it's just huge news. Can I read the article or some of it?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right, so following the decision by Major League Soccer to reinstate goalkeeper Tyler Derrick earlier today, the Houston Dynamo will loan Derrick to the club's USL affiliate RGVFC. The loan is expected to be finalized in the coming days. Following is statement. Okay, then it's all the statements released by the attorneys and things like that. But yeah, it's absolutely huge news, because now, since he's going to be loaned to the RGVFC or Rio Grande Valley FC, now there's going to be technically a fight for a starting goalkeeper in a way.
But the question is he really needed though? Is he
No.
going to be a plus for this team, or is it just going to be like a player that's going to disrupt this process that's been going through with Michael Nelson and Nico Corti? Obviously, we know Tyler Derrick is a huge, great goalkeeper. You know, he's a great goalkeeper. He's MLS level. He's one of the best goalkeepers in MLS. But the fact is that going to disrupt Nico Corti's development, or is it going to be a huge motivation for Nelson and Corti to continue to fight hard in practice, fight hard for those minutes that he gets? I'm just putting that question out there.
Of course, and it's got to be at least motivation. Yeah, he's not really needed at the moment because of the fact that Houston bought Chris Seitz, kicked out Callie Brown, and I believe some other keeper as well, and then brought in Nelson and brought in Nico Corti. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting now because, yeah, like you said, is he really needed? And I don't think he is, but at the same time, it'll bring even more motivation to all these guys.
Oh, do I get to talk now?
Yes.
So let me ask you a question, and this is to Jacob and Edson. What is the one thing that you guys have been clamoring for from the Dynamo?
Yes, we know.
Okay.
You're just putting that question out there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, and I think that you're not going to be. I think that question is going to be asked repeatedly, and it's like I look at it coming from as much the RGV aspect as from the Dynamo aspect, in the regards of the Dynamo need to do it because they need to know what Derek has left after this, and mentally can he get back to where he needs to be. Mm-hmm. Physically, is not going to be an issue because he's been working out. He's been doing all his, all that stuff like an off-season workout. But they need to see mentally if he still has it and if he's capable of getting himself to that competitive edge and that competitive level. There's no better place to do that than USL. You've been struggling at RGV with goals against. So why wouldn't you want an MLS, let's be honest, could vie for an all-star position if it wasn't just a popularity vote, season in and season out? Why wouldn't you want that at RGV? You're giving Michael Nelson the chance to learn under not only an MLS veteran, but an MLS Cup veteran. Mm-hmm. You're giving Nico Corti the chance to learn under an MLS veteran goalkeeper. You don't get that opportunity at the USL level very often. Not unless they go out and sign some really super old goalkeeper, not a goalkeeper who's legitimately in his prime still. Mm-hmm. And this is a player who's been through the Dynamo system. He was a homegrown Dynamo player. He went through the academy system all the way through. He went through that pipeline.
So he knows the in and outs.
He knows the ins and outs. Not only that, what if the Dynamo have another keeper potentially in their academy system that in the next 2 to 3 years is going to be looking to come out of the academy and move to RGV? If you know that Derek's been down to RGV, don't you as an RGV player look at that, regardless of position, but especially at goalkeeper now, look at that and go, holy crap, there actually really is a true pipeline. And the Dynamo, there is going to be a shared player responsibility between the Dynamo and RGV. It's not just going to be Dynamo taking players, but now you're seeing it. So my emphasis on this is just remember, I know that there's this whole thing of, well, we've already kind of scrapped the season. We're at that point where we're pretty much just ready to call the season whatever it is. But we want to start seeing long-term improvements with players getting those, not necessarily upgrades, but with players starting to gel and starting to find that chemistry, getting ready for next season. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see that opportunity. I don't think Derek comes back in the offseason to the Dynamo yet. I think he's going to have to fight for that spot. And not fight for that spot at the MLS level. I think he's going to have to fight for that spot, first of all, the USL level, because he's coming back from a long time out. Mm-hmm. And Michael Nelson's been playing now. Corti had been playing. So he's going to have to fight these guys for a position. He's not guaranteed one just because he's on an MLS contract. He's on a 1-year MLS contract. He just got an option year basically picked up. And it was cheap. It wasn't even that expensive. So At the end of the day, just remember that this is a chance to get a veteran goalkeeper with veteran experience in front of your, behind your back line, which means these young players on the back line, Ontiveros is a perfect example of this, are going to get that experience and that leadership behind them. They're going to get a chance to grow with that goalkeeper. That's a huge opportunity for them. Connor Donovan, when he comes back, that's an opportunity to work with Tyler Derrick. Kyle Adams, that's an opportunity to work with Tyler Derrick. It's a huge opportunity for these guys. And you think they're going to step it up? Oh, yeah. You're about to see the best version of your defense you've seen this entire season, even if Derrick doesn't play right away. Even if Derrick doesn't play until the last 2 matches of the season. It's not going to matter. You're going to see the best you've seen this
But
defense.
the experience that he brings to
practice, to the week in, week out daily grind, to the mentality, to the fitness. He's going to push these guys as hard as he can.
And Jacob, I know you probably agree with this, but Tyler Derrick has always proven himself on the pitch to be a leader, to be give commands to his line.
Vocal.
He's very, very, very vocal, and I would assume that he's going to teach Nico Cordy, especially Nico Cordy and Michael Nelson.
Yeah.
How to be that vocal leader on the pitch and the commander of the defense, because right now they're still kind of, they're good goalkeepers, but they don't have that leadership role. And maybe Tyler Derrick can develop these players in that kind of way.
Well, and keep this in mind too, and I'm sure Jacob will have something to add to this, but keep this in mind too. Derrick has been coached up now by Paul Rogers for the last 2 seasons, excluding this season, but the last 2 seasons. Paul Rogers was a U.S. men's national team goalkeeper coach. You were getting the best of the best when you're talking about Tyler Derrick. And I don't necessarily mean the best of the best in terms of talent level. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but there are better goalkeepers out there. I think he's very good vocally, but there are better leaders out there. But what you're getting is his experience. You're getting his leadership. You're getting that veteran edge, that competitive spirit. You're getting that. And you know what? That's the type of thing, though, that can help spur chemistry between players. That's the type of thing that going into that locker room, there's no doubt about it. He's going to walk in that locker room from day one, and he is going to have and command the respect of that locker room from the moment he walks in that door.
So, quick question from Stud Muffin, who, by the way, hi, man. He asked, didn't Derrick also train at West Ham like a year or 2 ago?
He did. He went over and in the offseason, he trained out there and was on loan basically for a few months. It was a real short-term, like 3-month loan or something. But he did go out there and actually train out there with them. Nothing came of it. But, the fact that you've got an English Premier League team looking at him, it was a pretty big deal. But that was also right before a lot of this other stuff started coming up consistently. And I think that's why West Ham actually backed off. I don't think it had anything to do with necessarily the talent and all that, but just the mentality off the pitch, sometimes having these run-ins and things like that. But again, if he's coming in and commanding the respect of the players, what is the one thing we've been saying all along about RGV as well, is that there are players that aren't really putting in the effort on the pitch. Oh, you better believe like hell Tyler's going to call their asses out on the spot. He is not going to let it fly. If he sees a guy just trotting back, oh, you better believe that guy's getting chewed out before he even makes it to the bench.
And we've seen it with the Dynamo. Like when he gets scored on, and he's like,
especially if he knows there was nothing he could do and it was on his defenders.
Yeah.
And so, and like I said, if you see players, and again, it's you're getting that veteran leadership coming in, but you're also getting that he commands respect. So here's another thing we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago? Probably 2 weeks ago. About how Gerson has to earn the respect of the club. If Derrick comes in and shows respect to Gerson the first day and sits and listens and it absorbs what Gerson has to say and then reinforces it during practices and reinforces it on the bench, what's going to happen? These young players looking up to Derrick are suddenly going to go, holy crap, we need to respect this goalkeeper or this coach as much as we respect Derrick, because if Derrick respects him, he's earned that respect. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a little bit of some psychology going on with how the Dynamo are approaching this. And it doesn't surprise me. If there were questions before about the Dynamo's dedication to this franchise, I think you can put some of those to rest. Now, we're not talking about them going out and signing a player, but these are players that are being made available to RGV now, slowly but surely. And what have I said all along? It takes until the Dynamo get the depth that they need at their level before RGV will start to see the dividends being paid from that. And now you're starting to see the dividends being paid from that. It's not going to end here. This is just the start. You're going to continue to see this movement where more and more of these players that are dealing with things at the MLS level are going to come down to RGV in practice, are going to come down to RGV in play. You're going to see those veteran presences start to make an impact on these young players. Now, the question I have going into this offseason, you now have a couple of months with Derek, which means Derek is going to be able to assess these players on behalf of the Dynamo, on behalf of Matt Jordan, on behalf of Nick Calba, on behalf of Gerson. He's going to know from practicing with these players and playing with these players whether they're MLS quality, whether they're USL quality, or whether they just mentally don't have it. You don't get that with any other player coming down to RGV that's a USL signing. You just don't. So that's a pretty incredible thing to be able to have at the RGV level immediately right out of the gate. And it's somebody, again, that you know coming in is going to bust his behind to do everything he can to get back to the Dynamo level, but you know why he's coming down. It's because they know they've got to shape up what's going on down there, and they know it's not just on the coach. This signals really good things for RGV. It's going to take time. It's not an overnight thing, but you'll start to see the benefit of this very quickly. Mic drop.
No, you're absolutely right. And by the way, they've already officially announced Ronaldo Peña.
Oh, good. So we got our Ronaldo. It just took a few years.
Seems legit.
All right, I'm hopping away again.
All right, thank you, Sean. Jacob, your thoughts?
Okay, yeah, he is absolutely correct. It is true. I mean, I'm trying as much as I can to, hide away my excitement for this because, yeah, sure, that guy kind of lost, my respect just a bit. But at the same time, off the field antics doesn't really acquire what you do on the field. And yeah, he's a fantastic keeper. He's that general for our team in a way, or he had been for at least Houston. And so, yeah, him coming down there that 1 year was epic. That one game or whatever was epic. And it is true. Yeah, at the moment, of course, we don't really need him because yeah, we do have this like on the field is what I'm really meaning. Mm-hmm. We do have this keeper that is technically second, or if you want to call it third on the chart for clean sheets, I believe.
Yes.
So I mean, yeah, that's going really well. Of course, you get this veteran guy like Sean said that can shape up this team in a way. He doesn't even have to really be starting. He just has to show respect and get respect, earn respect really quick, and in a way, be a player coach, if you get what I'm saying. He could be this player coach that could be on that sideline yelling at the team just like Gerson to get crap done, to do well.
I like what I see. I just hope that Tyler Derrick has finally learned his lesson when it comes to off-the-pitch antics. Because last time the case was put aside, but this time, man, I hate this cable. But this time he was actually, I guess you can say, reached a verdict on his on this case. And you mentioned how many games is he suspended from MLS? Was it 19? I think I remember.
I believe so. Yes, 19.
So he's going to be down here for a while, and the fact that we have Joe Willis up here with the Dynamo doing decent, he's got a long journey back if he wants to be a starter for the Dynamo once again, like he said. But RGV has to take advantage of this opportunity of having a player like him, of his caliber, of his expertise in your roster to continue. And we mentioned it. How many times did we mention on this show? Well, the Dynamo needs a veteran player that can help the development of these players, continue to develop as time goes on here at RGV. And it looks like may not be in the attack, which is what we really need, but having it on the defense is a start. And I think we might see some good results out of this. So guys, whoever's watching right now, or if you are listening to us via the podcast and you've gotten here so far, let us know your thoughts on our social media. Follow us at downintheRGV.com on Twitter, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, RGVFC fans. What are your thoughts on this Tyler Derrick move? Are you happy about this? Does this fulfill your does this quench your thirst for some Dynamo attention, or do you think this is one too little, too late, or is this not enough to satisfy your needs for this team? Let us know. You can also call in on our hotline. It's 956-622-5977. Once again, 956-622-5977. And give us your takes on this live on the show. And having said this, it looks like we got Ray coming in. What's going on, Ray?
Hey, Edson, how are you?
Real
Wake
good.
up. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw the breaking news.
What are your thoughts on that? I want to see what you think.
Oh, my. You know, I kind of feel for Nico Corti, who had been doing so well. And then you had the rookie from a couple of weeks ago at home,
Michael Nelson.
Michael Nelson. I kind of feel gutted for those two. But you know what? Something is better than nothing at this point. And but let's just hope that if we can keep another clean sheet, maybe get a goal or two, walk away with 3 points, it would be something.
Yeah, really hope so. Like we mentioned before, we were going up over the stats. Nico Corti right now has 5 clean sheets, and that's not including Michael Nelson's. So this defense is looking good. That's 6 clean sheets.
Yep.
So like I said, we have the foundation. We just need to continue to build up on it on the attack. So, Jacob, do you have anything else you want to add before we continue on from this St. Louis match?
Yeah, I mean, just also remember, Ray, that Tyler Derrick still has to gain the trust or the respect as well of Coach Gerson. So it's not over for both Nico and Nelson. So in a way, even if, let's say, Derrick does get the blessing, the start from Gerson, he kind of, in a way, has to, just so that Houston can see what Tyler Derrick has left. We might see Derrick start for a couple of games, and that's okay. But we'll most likely see him on the sidelines, being that, in a way, player coach, that player motivator that RGVFC needs.
True. I mean, I just hope that that Gerson goes with the hot hand right now, which the advantage would be to Nico Corti.
Mm-hmm. So, in the end, we're kind of gonna put this match to rest. We got another 0-0 scoreless draw from St. Louis. This Saturday, we are playing Tulsa at home at HEB Park. You're talking about a team that is, if I'm not mistaken, still last place in the Western Conference. What do you think is going to happen in this match?
Well, it's going to be one of those hard-fought matches. I'm going to assume that Tulsa is going to come in here with with nothing to lose type attitude and may want to steal away 3 points. They just went through a coaching change. As I talked to Gerson last night after a soccer game last night, and we'll get into that a little later. Mm-hmm. But Gerson did point it out that there was a couple of players that they need to look out for in order to keep the defensive balance the same as they've been having the last few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I think you never have to what's the word I'm looking for? Underestimate any rivals in the USL or in any sporting event, because especially in soccer, there's always seems to be that idea of like underdogs more often than in other sports, coming up on top and surprising other teams that, maybe, it's last place, but, they beat the first place. You see it many times, especially, and that happens between last and first. Just imagine between two teams that are fighting the bottom of the standings. So right now, Tulsa is coming to this match after drawing 2-2 against Las Vegas Lights at home. And on last Wednesday, they defeated LA Galaxy 2-0.
Yeah, which was a little bit of a shock result if you look at it from any angle, because LA2 had like a little bit of a scoring streak despite having a lot of lopsided losses. I mean, they're a team that likes to score, but they also had one of the most porous defenses in the league, and yet LA2 is one of those teams that is hanging tough for a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now, at this moment, Seattle Sounders, Tulsa Roughnecks are in last place in 17th with 11 points. Tied with them with 11 points is Seattle Sounders 2, also with 11, but with a negative 14 goal difference. RGVFC are in 15th place with 12 points. Now, we're only 1 point away from last place. So this is a match where you cannot make any mistakes, because any mistake that you make and you're running into the possibility that both Seattle Sounders and Tulsa Roughnecks will surpass you, and now we're in the bottom of the basement.
Well, just look at Toronto FC and then pour a shot of Don Julio for yourself.
Say again?
If you really want to talk about bottom of the league.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Yeah. Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that obviously RGVFC has needs to win, and I do believe, because watching the St. Louis FC game and talking to Edson about it as well, with the lineup changes that Gerson made for the last game was really good. You still had that good defense, and of course the offense, yes, it still needs a bit more of a tweak, but at that same time, I think it actually can happen, since we've had such this great since we've had this great defense. I think our offense can actually break through with this new lineup in a way, and I do believe that RGVFC can come away with 3 points here at HEB Park.
I'm hoping 2-1 score this Saturday. I feel that this might be that motivation that this team needs in order to get a win. I feel like Tulsa is very inconsistent, when it comes to getting their wins. I mean, I think they've only won one match, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they've only won one match, and that was the game against the LA Galaxy 2. So, because it's recent, they have to continue to pay a good focus to concentrate all 90 minutes against this Tulsa team. But I think defensively we've done decent. It's just that the attackers have to take advantage of this porous Tulsa defense. So, predictions?
Jacob, I'll let you take the stage.
All right. I think with most likely Nico Cordy starting, I think we will get a clean sheet and come away with a 1-0 victory, being our second win with the same score line.
Ray?
I see Michael Nelson starting. I think we win 2-1. I think it's going to be one of those games where we may see a nice first half and then just see a dull second half.
We've seen so many of those kind of matches this season, but at least hopefully we get those 3 points. So having said all of this, we really want to go ahead and get the audio from Coach Echeverry, what his thoughts are on this RGV FC versus Tulsa match. We talked about what we think, but I think it's time we take a listen to what Gerson Echeverry thinks about this match. And I know Ray, you did interview him after the America versus not Cruz Azul, Pachuca match. Before we play,
Pachuca is like Cruz Azul Jr., but just with more titles, though.
Wait, no, but doesn't Cruz Azul have more titles technically? But anyway, that's
true. But if you count the stars on the jersey,
well, that's true. They're international ones. But before we play the audio, what were your thoughts on what he said? Actually, let's play the audio first. All right. And then when we come back from the audio, we'll give our thoughts on what he said.
All right, Coach Gerson Echeverry here. We're live. We're down in the valley. Coach, Tulsa coming into town. Important 6-point battle down there at the bottom of the zone. What are your takes for Tulsa?
Well, it's important for us to make sure that we're home and always protect home with a team that we need to make sure that we get points out of. Both teams have not been fortunate in the win column, so we have to make sure that we get some off of them.
And what have you seen on tape from Tulsa that may provide you a little bit more headaches than what you would have thought of?
Well, they've been in a lot of close games. Right now with a coaching change, obviously that always brings up and fires some guys who maybe haven't been playing all that well. It kind of brings some confidence in them, or it lights up a fire under them. So they're going to be very dangerous. They've been dangerous all year. They have some attacking pieces that can score. They have a very experienced central midfielder, and so we have to be careful with them. We have to make sure that we don't let them get into their game, that we're able to possess the ball. But more importantly is, can we get the ball and put the ball in the back of the net?
Defensively, is there anything that you're going to change or tactically for the game against Tulsa, being that they haven't had that much success despite their record?
Well, no. I mean, I think it's important. Any team at this level can score on you, so we still need to make sure that we reference their most important players, or the players that we know that are dangerous, that have been causing trouble, and we need to make sure that we defend as a unit and don't concede any goals.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on what he said?
I'm going to be real honest. There is another reporter right next to me, and I won't mention where he's from or his name. But there was a question asked before that, and I'll get into the synopsis of the question. He asked him, "Hey, what do you think about the Santos match?" In which he quickly shut down the reporter in a very nice way, and then I was able to ask away those questions. But it seems like he's a little bit concerned with Tulsa's midfield, who has provided not most of their offense, but like most of their attacking opportunities for Tulsa, and that's like the main point of concern for Gerson. And that's what he was trying to relay to me during the interviews, that they have a very dangerous midfield that likes to press forward a lot. So it's just something that he may have to line up two defensive midfielders in order to stop those attacks.
Yeah, and going back to that that thought that I had, which is we cannot underestimate Tulsa just because they're in last place, especially with the fact that they're only a point behind us. So we cannot treat them like if we are in first place, and even if we were, we cannot. And so it's a good thing that our coach is has that same mentality, and that, okay, well, maybe their results haven't come by, but they do have some decent players that if you allow them, if you give them the space to do what they know what they do, they can hurt us. And so we have to maintain the same concentration in order to avoid for Tulsa and these players to get a goal against us, and so that we can take advantage of their weaknesses that we know that they have, and able to get the win. Jacob?
Yeah, it is good that Tristan sees that same thing. Of course, in my opinion, with how late this season has been, and we haven't really been able to get just our results as well. I think it's kind of a dead season for us. I wouldn't think bad passes or things like that, and so it can lead to probably or most likely a counter because of the fact that, yes, their midfield's. If he's saying that their midfield is that good and they can attack like that from the start, then RGV has to be careful with the ball, especially in that midfield spot. Maybe once they get past the midfield, they can be a bit more lenient with the ball, but at the same time, you've got to watch out for those players coming from that midfield.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like I said, hopefully we can get those the results that we need. So we mentioned, I think you said what, 1-0? Ray, you said what was your score?
2-1.
2-1?
2-1.
2-1.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I said 1-0 or 2-1 as well, but I think we're gonna get the win. So that's it for our RGV. I believe it's kind of been slow with news and things like that. We are playing, like I said, this Saturday at home against Tulsa Roughnecks, and then on Wednesday we're playing Santos Laguna in a friendly on Wednesday on the 11th.
Oh.
And yeah, go ahead.
And a friendly reminder, there will be fireworks after the game, so hopefully there'll be some fireworks on the field to complement the fireworks after the game.
Yeah, definitely, because it seems like these fireworks have been wet when it comes to inside the pitch. What was it that that you told us that in that match against Phoenix?
There's plenty of fireworks. Unfortunately, none of them have gone our way, though, making reference to the attack. Yeah,
definitely. So, like I said, Santos on Wednesday, and then the Saturday after, we are hosting El Chalice, his son, and the Las Vegas Lights, I had been confirmed by the man himself. He is going to be up in the stands for this game against RGVFC and the Las Vegas Lights. So, Liga MX fans, Puebla fans, if there are any, or you might get the chance to meet El Chalice in person. Just don't tell him anything, because then he's going to get another suspension. So.
Oh, why?
So, all right. So
I love El Chalice. He's a great person to talk to. I'm just picturing this. He's a great person to talk to. I'll just be friendly with the questions if he is available for interview.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want him to get on him. He's like, you repeat what you said again. That's what got him his suspension. So apparently, kind of going on the off topic, but apparently it was the Las Vegas versus Phoenix Rising, and as he was exiting, a Phoenix Rising fan kind of said something vulgar to him. As he goes up to the fan, puts his hand on the shoulder, and just tells her, "You dare to repeat what you just told me again?" And that got him a 7-game suspension by the USL.
I mean, you do that to a player, you deserve to get, you do that to a fan, excuse me, you deserve to get suspended by far. You cannot touch a fan as well as an official. It's stupid that player thought it was okay to do. 7-game suspension, yeah, that's a good suspension for that guy. Maybe he will learn his lesson.
It's a Chalice. He's been suspended many times, both here and in Liga MX. It's just the way. It's just the way that he is. He's gonna eventually he's gonna do something similar again. But anyways, moving on.
Kind of like the guy I saw last night.
Say again.
Kind of like the coach I saw last night from the team in yellow and blue.
The one that Chuy Enriquez admires a lot.
Yes.
Miguel Herrera. Anyway, that's actually a good transition. So Ray, you and Jacob, you were there as well at the Cruz Azul versus Pachuca match. What were your thoughts?
Cruz Azul, there you go again.
Oh my God, America and Pachuca.
Caesar was at that one.
Oh, my friends are gonna kill me. But what were your thoughts on that match specifically? And I do want to touch base upon this because we kind of introduced ourselves about this question yesterday or this morning, and I actually had somebody on Twitter ask about this. But RGVFC front office, how involved were they with the fans that went to yesterday's America versus Pachuca game?
Jacob, I'll let you take the stage first.
Well, I don't believe they were. That's for sure. It's as often as we see. I don't think they were really that involved with getting those Club America fans or whatever the other team fans were to just get them to wear orange, basically, is how I'm going to put that.
I mean, yesterday, I did see pictures of Mr. Toro out there. I saw a couple of players were there watching the match. Who else did I see? I think I saw a couple of front office people that were there at the match, but did not even see them mention anything about getting these people to, like you say, wear orange. And it all goes back to, Ray, when you interviewed, when they announced this match, when you interviewed Bert Garcia and you asked him this specific question, and he said, they pretty much along the line saying, bringing these matches to HEB Park is enough. But like I said last night, is the front office bringing these fans to the team, or are they bringing these fans to the stadium? And the way they're working, it seems to me more of the latter than the former.
Well, I can tell you this much. As I got my credentials, first of all, I might derail myself here a little bit, but first of all, I'm going to have to thank Persiguiendo un Sueño and Eduardo Carrega for giving me this privilege to come in and have the opportunity to be there at the stadium and experience a nice near 11,000 fans at the stadium, and SPD Sports for putting on a wonderful event. Now, with regards to your question, as I walked into the stadium and got my credential, as I made my way to the north side of the stadium, I ran into a front office member, and they had barely finished setting up a table there to promote Toros stuff. And as I finally made my way to the northern side of the stadium, I saw a Vipers booth and a Toros Kids Club booth. And then there were some other scattered front office members just, hanging out, just checking out the environment, but no promotion. And I got to thank the media relations guy for the Toros, Mr. Anwar Chagoyan, for giving me the access to the media suite and bringing up the lineup cards as well. This was by far the most organized event out of the 3 or 4 that stadium has hosted. With regards to promotion, again, just 2 table booths, maybe 3 people in total doing Toro stuff, and there was 1 person promoting the Vipers and Bird Ogden Arena there.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as doing the promoting for the Toros, just not enough, in my opinion. Other ways that they were promoting the Toros was actually showing the exhibition match versus Santos on the video board. They may have played that commercial about 6 times, 3 during the first half and then 3 during halftime, and then probably even once at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. It's just sad to see. I mean, at least it's a little bit more than what has been done before, but it's still not enough. I mean, the way that you're telling me that they were set up and things like that, that does nothing to convince these fans, these diehard Club America fans especially, because the stadium was sold out.
And I'll tell you what, another observation that I saw, okay, aside from a packed parking lot, there was a lot of cars coming in from different parts of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And even and there was like plenty of fan base supports from Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Laredo to come support Club America.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of traffic there at the stadium last night.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're talking about the most popular team in Mexico,
One of the 2 popular teams.
Exactly.
Let's not forget about the other guys. Let's not forget the other guys. I mean, they brought in a fair amount of traffic as well.
The Pachuca.
No,
Chivas. That's true. I think, and I would dare myself to say that they were pretty much on par.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare both games, it was very, very balanced and remarkable job bringing these events, and I thank them again publicly, as well as Persiguiendo un Sueño Sports with Eduardo Carrega and Eduardo Gonzalez for giving me the opportunity to provide these events for us.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show that as far as marketing wise, I don't think we are in the best of hands in order to get these Toros. What I was going to mention is the fact that what you're describing to me is never going to be enough to convince these Liga MX teams fans that are coming to the stadium to come in week in and week out to support our boys in orange. They're not going to feel attracted to this team just by them just talking anyway, and or just by setting up a table. I mean, you something else has to be there. I mean, I don't know what can be done. I just know that that's just not enough. I mean, you want proof? The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the attendance stats. You know how our attendance has gone downhill compared to last season, and it all goes back to us getting results, and giving these fans, you know, the experience not of the stadium, which is where I think the organization is focusing on, but the team. How well does this team represent the Valley? How well does this team do with results? How involved is this team in the community? How often do you see these players, their images posted on billboards, posted on sponsors, you know, the businesses, anything like that, so that people get used to and form a sense of connection between fans and players? I feel that there's a lot of these players aren't well known, even with the fans that are going to the stadium on a week in and week out basis. And so that needs to be worked on. Get these players to go not only to the schools, but also some events. What else? Hold meet the player night, or get these players out on the community. Get our fans to know them. You know, maybe copy a page out of the Dynamo's playbook and have a meet the team night at Dave and Buster's. Get them to sign autographs. Get them to sign pictures. Get them to play with the fans. Some of the video games there at Dave and Buster's. You know, something to get a connection between fan and players, and it is completely lacking by the RGVFC front office. Maybe that's what happened.
And
yeah,
and then thankfully, I mean, the over 10,000 plus America fans that were out there last night, they were marvelous. They were classy, and it was a nice experience. You know, Typho game was strong as well too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I saw the picture. My friend sent it to me because he went to the game as well, and I liked it. I mean, we need some of that energy. We need some of that passion for the Toros. Now, I'm not at least to complement what the Stampede has been building up in these last 2.5 seasons. You know, we've kind of hit. I feel like a plateau because we aren't getting a new influx of fans, and on the contrary, we're losing fans. And so I think people, like I said, need to get connected with this team. Not only with the people who go there, but the people who don't go to the games. Okay, so maybe like you see them at an event, I guess. I mean, I think the perfect opportunity would have been the 4th of July parade in McAllen.
Yeah.
I mean, get these players out there, make a like a little carrito, take Mr. Toro out there, you know, and get people who have not gone to the games before. Number one, know about the team. Number two, know who the who the players are. Number three, get the players to understand more the culture of of the Valley. Get more involved. Love this place. That way, it'll be a more difficult decision for them to say, hey, you know what? Well, I don't want to be here anymore, or I want to transfer. Okay. It's been so easy how all these other players have just gone up and left, you know, from this team. Why? Because they don't feel the connection between themselves and the people here, and the people don't have the connection with the fans. And the players, with the players. Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree on that note. It's a frustrating thing, especially when the players don't feel that connection. But at the same time, of course, a couple of them, we know they've been let go. They just haven't decided, let me get transferred. No, they've been let go and then picked up in the end. And so, of course, that's a totally different story in a sense. But I do get where you're saying. It is that point where, I mean, we've talked to Nico Cordy, we've talked to Chuy Enriquez as well, and I mean, they've said the same thing, that there's almost nothing to do here, and we don't really technically know the fans that well, things of that nature, and it's tough. And of course, they can't get out, just randomly say, you know what, let me go out and meet a couple of fans. No, they're just like you said, there has to be a Meet the Players night. We have to get that brand out there in general, and it's tough. Look at Lone Star National Bank. That's our main sponsor right here. What have they really been doing to help give that brand out of the Toros? Nothing. I've been to Lone Star National Bank. Do they have a special card for RGVFC? No. So it's things like that just hurt us.
See, because even the Dynamo with BBVA Compass has a special Dynamo card, and
I have that.
I mean, how difficult, really? I mean, you're the shirt sponsor. You are the owner of this team, Alonso Cantu, who also owns Lone Star National Bank. So, how difficult is it to get these cards, print the RGVFC logo, or put Mr. Toro on there, and offer these of these cards to be available to the public, to the fans, to go and use them. I mean, just the thought of, like, you take out your card to pay, people see, oh, what's that? Oh, well, this is RGVFC. This is our team. That's a conversation starter sometimes with people who are like soccer but have no idea that this team exists. They see the card and, they become interested of seeing this. We don't see that. We don't see cutouts of these pictures at HEB. We don't see them at Whataburger. We don't see them at Metro PCS. We don't see them at LNF Distributors, which I have to say, and we talked about this yesterday, I feel LNF Distributors has kind of done a little bit more to try to get to hype up the Toros than any of the other sponsors that we have.
Exactly. I mean, you look at giving the Stampede, that free cake, a beer to try and get people to join that Stampede little group. And that's a good way of getting more people to join and support this team, is, of course, by joining the Stampede. If you pay that $25, you get the free beer for a year. Things like that. LNF Distributors, fantastic job. Where's everyone else? Where's Bogus Ford? Where's all these...
Bert Ogden.
Exactly, Bert Ogden. That's a big one. Of course, they're out there helping out the Vipers. Give them time, of course, because of the new stadium over there. They have this year off. That's okay. But the rest of the sponsors, because of they don't have anything really else that's bigger to sponsor, what's their problem? What are they waiting for in a way?
I just feel this all lands on the Dynamo or the RGB front office, because they're the ones that technically could offer our sponsors, hey, you know what? Okay, so we received your money, okay, so we'll go ahead and send you some players over there, get some people over to your business. Let's say Whataburger. Okay, we'll take the players out to the Whataburger there, kind of do some autographs or something, and Whataburger benefits because that location is gonna get a lot of people. A lot of them are probably gonna be hungry, so they're gonna buy food there at the Whataburger. And same thing with Bert Ogden with the dealerships. Get some players over there. Have an autograph session at Fiesta Chevrolet. While they're at it, hey, you know what? I've been looking to buy a car somewhere. hey, the sales and they start looking at the vehicles there in the inventory. I mean, it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win situation. Why hasn't it been done? Like Peter Griffin said, why are we not funding this?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, remember, I think it was our first year. We had that new, well, at one point, that new chicken place, um, Louisiana style chicken. I forget what it's called, but
Popeyes.
Popeyes. There we go. Thank you, because I normally eat at KFC. But they used to have, the autograph sessions over there as well. And I think maybe it was just for the cheerleaders, but that's a point. It was like an RGVFC hangout for us for at least a day or a weeknight, something like that. And so, why did they stop doing that? They still hand out those programs, and it still advertises Popeyes.
Yeah.
Why did they stop getting players over there or things like that? Because that can add attention, that can add fans to get excited about this team.
Now, I do remember the beginning of last year. I believe they were going to plan something with the players at the Whataburger at University Drive, the one on 281 and University Drive. I went over there after school. I took my sister with me, so we both got out of school. We went over there, wanted to meet some of the players. This was before Carga Naranja, mind you. So we get there. Had a lot of people, had a lot of kids there actually at the Whataburger, and then so I talked to one of the ladies that worked for RGVFC front office, and she tells me that the players were only there for like 30 minutes because of practice, because they had to go practice. Apparently, they moved the time at the last minute, and my question is, for example, why not program or plan this, at some time? It gives you enough leeway to plan what practices is going to be. And I know it's difficult to have practices earlier, especially now and during the summer, because of how hot it is. But at least do it. I don't know, like at noon. I don't know. I just feel that this needs to be an idea that has to go out there if you want to get the fans involved and fall in love with this team, get the kids involved as well. But you have to get the brand out there. It's not about just being there and they'll come to you. We've said it many times. This brand has to be delivered to the citizens of the Rio Grande Valley if something like this is going to work. So plans have to be made. My suggestion is to have at least a bye week. Dedicate one day of the weekend that you're gonna have that bye week, and have meet the team night or meet the two players at different locations, like two players in one location, two players in another location for another sponsor, to have autograph sessions, at those locations. Get the people to know these players. I mean, that's the minimum I'm asking. I'm sure it's possible to happen. How many bye weeks do we have usually during the season? 2, maybe, or 1. With just that one, I think with just that one, you might see some good feedback out of this.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's just something that I hope that there's like a quick, not a quick solution to, but just at the end of the season, kind of like reconsider how they brand and strategize everything from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, and if you need to you need to hire a third-party marketing firm, do it. but at least get an outside view of how things can work, because you're seeing that the results, even on these stands, just isn't there, and it's not 100% on what happens on the field. There's also a bit of I guess what you call it, la culpa, on what happens off the field. What does front office do to get these fans to come to the stadium? Get them to convince them to come in on a consistent. I'm not telling you like come in every week. I think there's very few people that can make it week in and week out to the Toros. But at least be more consistent than just going once and never coming back to HEB Park.
Mm-hmm.
Y ya me cansé.
I mean, it doesn't help that
Está
the
bueno,
season
Willy González.
tickets.
Say again,
It doesn't.
Jacob.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't also help that the season tickets and the ticket prices are kind of ridiculous, especially at this moment where you're still trying to build something. I think, like, of course, yes, they do have the $5 tickets for a certain amount of time, but then, of course, the season tickets, depending on which side or which section you're at, are like maybe $250, and it's kind of ridiculous for $250 for, let's say, a family of four, $250 each to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of ridiculous, right? It's kind of ridiculous, especially for how bad we're doing this season.
Definitely, and I mean, yeah, we have those $5 tickets, you say, but it's up in the very corners, and it's only for like what, like maybe like 7 rows of like from top to bottom, and that's $5. Then I believe it's what, like $11 or maybe like $13 for the next cheapest seat, and it's also up in the out in the corners. So if you want to get a decent seat at HEB Park, you're looking at what you said, $30, and that's not for the suites. So it is something that is expensive for those that want to come in on a week by week basis. And season tickets. I don't want to get started on season tickets, but I feel like we have to because we already touched on the subject. For year 1. Actually, for year 2, my family and I were season ticket holders. We bought season tickets. They promised us a couple of things. Most of them were valid. We do have some sort of discount at the team store. But other than that, there really was no tangible benefit of getting season tickets. We found ourselves not being able to make it to a couple of them. We had to. Another thing last year, my parents and I did not get a season ticket card. They just gave us an envelope with a bunch of tickets for all of the games in the season. So, if I recall correctly, from season ticket members last year. Number 4. They told us that we would have invitations to member specific events, which included maybe practices or other things like that. Nothing was ever made. Nothing was ever planned or announced for that. And I know there were more things that did not happen that were promised to us when we got our season tickets. We're paying a lot of money for these season tickets, and yet we don't really have another better. So we made. My mom is an accountant. She made the whole season ticket pass. And they found themselves, having to give away the tickets because they weren't able to make it to the games. They had to give away the tickets, and so it was a lot cheaper for them to. But even for those that go week in and week out, there wasn't really a lot of benefit. Because there was very little things that were season ticket member specific events, merchandise, you name it. I got. Where are you? The only thing I got tangible was this lanyard. That's it. Just the lanyard. No scarf. No little box. At least Dynamo season ticket goal holders got a box this year. And even then, people were kind of ticked off that they only got a box for renewing their season tickets for the season. I mean, you really want to help the experience, for the season ticket holders, which are your bread and butter. If that's how you're going to be treating it, you might want to start giving them some benefits that'll separate the experience of buying a season ticket for the Toros compared to just going out and getting the individual tickets. Right now, very little incentive in order to do that.
I'll let you. Yeah, I'll let you go first, Ray.
No comment, only because I don't know what it feels like to be a season ticket holder. I mean, this is some great insight stuff for the casual fans. But that's all I have to say about it.
Well, okay, so yeah, for me, the last time that we got season tickets was that last year was, we got that lanyard that you're talking about, Edson, and we were lucky enough to have Mark. Let me see if I get his last name right.
Trevino.
Yeah, Trevino. Okay, I was afraid if that was a different person, but no, it's. Yeah, we were lucky enough to get Mark Trevino, so we got the good stuff, which was basically, I'm not really going to need it, considering the fact that then I guess the fans have been feeling they left, or they just haven't really come back. They've seen that experience, and they thought it's not really impressive because of the fact that they kind of overcharge. They want your money more than they want your support.
Exactly.
And it's frustrating. We don't deserve this. The fans don't deserve it.
No, and so I think we as fans, we as the voice of the fans, Jacob, myself, and Ray and Cesar, we have to take our position of the voice of the fans, and we have to. I think it's time we have to put pressure on Bert Garcia and telling him directly on the show, or whatever, however way you want it, to let them know what the fans really feel, unfiltered, and that way, hopefully, they'll see it as a wake-up call, that they're not doing the things 100% correctly like they should. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous that we're three seasons in, and they have not gotten their act together with season tickets in that regard, as to bringing incentives. And I gotta add something, because we're talking about this and I'm laughing because beginning of the second season, the New Jersey was going to be unveiled. I made the mistake of leaking the kit on social media. And so I get a call from Mark, and he tells me to take down the picture, which wasn't really like any picture like they sent me or anything. It was just I made the design on FIFA, for FIFA, and I took a screenshot of just like a close up of like the crest and the Nike logo. That was it. They ordered me to take it down, and then they were telling me that they had planned to do a jersey unveil night with the fans, and that because of the leak, it was the plan was completely ruined. I mean, come on, really? There's so many professional first division teams that get their kits leaked in public way before, and yet they still do an unveilment event with the fans. That is not an excuse. Just say, you did not have to say that if you did not have anything planned, because then there wasn't, you didn't need to tell me that. I mean, from what we're seeing from this is the fact that, hey, you know what? They're not really putting in fans bringing fans into this team. And that's another reason why there's a certain disconnect between fans, is because whenever they do something with this team, they don't really bring in fans into the equation. The fans, from what I'm seeing, is just an afterthought. They're just there every Saturday that they play here, and they're here for 90 minutes, and then they leave, and that's it. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting. I'm not sure if that's the vibe you're getting, Jacob. I'm not sure if that's the vibe you get from this, Ray, but at least that's the vibe I'm feeling. And RGVFC front office, we've said it before, and we're saying it many times. If we are wrong, we'll gladly give you the platform live on the show for you to give your point of view on this matter. You're more than welcome to. Just contact us, and we'll gladly give you the platform so you can give your point of view to the fans directly. But as it stands right now, you have not made a certain commitment to go out there, take advantage of this, and explain how this works directly to the fans. Sure, you go out there to Telemundo, but you don't really you just talk about the same old cookie cutter stuff. But as far as fan involvement, what better way than to go out than to do with fan podcasts, especially if we're bringing up these concerns about how this team is run. There has to be some transparency. We're offering you that transparency. Take advantage of it. And we're not doing it just because, we want to be famous or anything like that. No, we're doing it. We're offering this because we want our concerns to be quenched. We want to know that at least the front office is listening to us. They know their concerns. They appreciate that we have these concerns, and they want these questions answered. That's what we want. We want our questions answered. We want to know that this is being worked on. That there's plans to make this a better experience for fans, to help with this connection with this team, and hopefully help with attendance. But as I've read this now, everything is so in the back doors. Pretty much everything is so secret from us that we have to find ways in order to try to get some of this information out to these fans. And when that happens, you get mad at us. We just want the fans to know, that things are being worked on. I'm not telling you, I'm not telling you to tell us, we're looking at we're signing this specific player. No, we want to know, okay, all right, so we're having it in New Jersey. Okay. Here's a sneak peek of it. And here's another sneak peek of it. Here's another sneak peek of it. Keep that hype going for the jersey. Or, you know what? All right, we're having fan night at this night. Come out to Dave & Buster's, come out to wherever, and meet the players. That's all I ask. People that we want to feel that we actually are part of this team and not just an afterthought or not just a moneymaker for you all. And it sucks thinking like this. But what your actions are looking at right now, that's exactly how you're treating the fans. Your moneymaker. Yes, Blues fan, that actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right there. No extra comment because you said everything that needed to be said. You even said everything that was basically on my mind. We feel, the people of RGVFC, feel like we haven't been supported that well with the front office. Yes, the front office did a fantastic job with the Stampede this year, giving them almost a free entry into the games a couple of times, and giving the that extra or that free keg for the whole game. Yeah, that's fantastic. Where is it for the rest of the fans that support that in game out? Where are these fan nights that at one time you said would happen? Where are these extra things? How are you taking the advantage, or how are you building this brand? Well, you're not building this brand at all, because of the fact of the matter is you're not really trying to move to expand this thing. Like you said, Edson, they don't really care.
They don't. Ray?
Well, I mean, you guys have hit everything on the head, and it's sad how the front office has done a lot of things. I'm not going to cover for them either, because yes, the vast majority of them do the Vipers and the Toros, and it's just something that the general fan may not know about this. They just want to go out and have a good time with the family, and without realizing what actually goes on behind the scenes type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's also a good point that Ray said. Yeah, most of them, which is 90% or more of them, work with the Vipers. Guess what? You can't just have two jobs, and you can't just half-seize them. What I'm saying is, you can't do a good job on two things at once. It just does not work like that. Life does not work like that. You have, one time I had two jobs, and I slacked behind on the second.
It's kind of like that little saying that says you cannot serve two masters without disappointing one.
Exactly. And so they're off caring about the Vipers, because we all know that one of the other guys that basically helped start up the RGVFC Toros got sent back to the Vipers, and a lot of those people got sent back to the Vipers to help build that brand back up, because of the fact that they're going to unveil soon the newest stadium and their newest arena. Mm-hmm. So it goes hand in hand with that, where they pushed everyone aside to go help with the Vipers, and at the same time, if you can, go help RGVFC, because they still need help as well. So obviously we are an afterthought, but at the same time, they're not really caring for us that much as well as the Vipers. It's just both of those haven't really been too successful in a way with fans.
You're definitely right on that. I think that the soccer team in general, the soccer operations, have been more of an afterthought compared to everything that they do for the Vipers. Because heck, even in Vipers games, they do a lot more activities with for the fans. And for RGV, it's just whatever happens in those 90 minutes, whenever they do bring Liga MX. But in the end, when they bring Liga MX teams, it's for the benefit of people to come to the stadium, not an effort to convince these fans to cheer for our boys in orange. And that is the most saddening thing out of all of this, is that we have so little importance for starters in the soccer operations compared to Vipers, and most of that importance is to the stadium and not actually to the team, and how the fans should interact with this, or how this team interacts with the fans, how to make it a better experience. They think the stadium alone will offer that experience for these fans to continue to come back to this match, and that is not the case. It's not a matter of just building a shiny new stadium and people are gonna love it. No, it's what the fans, when they're in the stadium, what they experience. Whether it's for example these promotions, which they do. They do some promotions with the 4-4-4 plan. But it's not all about promotions either. It's also like how close are you getting these teams to the fans and other things like that. And it's just not happening with this current front office. And so, what can we do? I don't know. The budget, from what I've been told, is extremely limited. I think the best way to do it, if you want to, if the front office wants to focus on something, and you want it, and from what we're seeing, you want to focus on the Vipers, focus on the Vipers. But try and see if you can hire a third-party management firm that can take care of this organization. Hire more people that are soccer specific, that know all about the ins and outs of soccer, how the fans in soccer fans, are going to act, and how to be to the fold. Maybe that.
It's frustrating to think about it, but it's true, and that's exactly the way that they are. And for now, I don't think it'll ever change, and that it's sad. So hopefully things will change, and hopefully management will be much better. But at this point, what can we believe?
Really, not much. I mean, we just kind of hope that at least right now, I'm just kind of settling, and for things to get better on the pitch. That's all I'm settling for right now. That all the operations on the pitch get to an acceptable level. At least we have some opportunity in that aspect of getting more fans out there to the stadium. If we do good on the pitch, people might start coming more. But with the front office right now, how this team is being run in that regard, there's a lot of things that need to be worked on. And take it the way you be better, because we love this team, we love the Toros, we love soccer, we love Valley soccer. So, having said all of this, any last thoughts, guys, before we sign off?
Nope, not at all for me. I just want to thank
Santos on Wednesday. And so that way on Thursday we'll have talk about. So next Thursday we will go live for down in the valley for this next episode. I'll see you on Thursday day then, Ray.
So,
Yeah,
thank you, Edson.
yeah, no problem. Have a good night, man.
Good night.
Good night. Jacob?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, let's get ready for Saturday and hopefully get ready for a win at HEB Park. That is much needed for sure, and I do believe it is possible. And for those of you listening, and for those of you that are actually in the RGV that are listening, and even if you're not, make the trip down to Edinburgh, Texas, and make the trip down to HEB.
We have to be prepared for that, and we have to be great hosts for them. Any last words, Sean?
I was just going to ask, when is Cesar having to wear his scarf? Sean, don't forget, just so everybody knows, Sean doesn't forget. Doesn't happen. So group stage ended. We said group stage only for this one, right? And then final based on
Bonus for the prediction of the final.
Yeah, which right now, Cesar, you better hope that you nail the semis or quarter semis and final.
Because this is going to be waiting for the loser.
You can't talk into the scarf because it blocks the mic.
This is going to be waiting for the loser.
Yeah,
So,
and just so it's clear,
thank you, Harry.
If you haven't checked the standings as of right now after the group stage, Sean is in first with 17 points. Edson's in a very, very close second with 16. I think Jacob's on like 14, and then Ray has 13, and then I think Cesar
has
like
10.
10, yeah. No, I take that back. I think Ray has 11. They're very close to each other, but like I feel pretty good with a 6-point buffer between me and last place. It's like if I get one of the next each round, I'm good, and I feel pretty confident in my round of my quarterfinals picks here, to say the least. But I just figured I'd come out and throw a little shade at Cesar for such a poor showing for the group stage. Let it be known he got one right in every group, and then I think he got 2 groups where he had the 2 that came out of the groups correctly, but wrong order. And then you had 4 groups that you got right, but you didn't have them in the right order.
Mm-hmm.
You had like 2 of them you didn't have in the right order, and then I just had 3 that I got spot on, and that elevated me to a pretty good point total there. And Jacob wasn't far off either with his picks, but. Jacob, I hope for your sake that you can definitely pick better in the quarters and semis, so that you're not left relegated to the scarf duty.
So we're gonna go ahead and take advantage of this, and I want to go ahead and get what our picks were.
Uruguay and I picked France.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was identical to your picks. I noted you didn't pick Brazil, which is really funny because do you remember who you picked in the final?
Yes.
Because Brazil, if they don't win, they don't make the final.
I know, but
And so you lose out on 3 bonus points if
yeah,
if
but
they
then
don't make
but
the final.
you have to take into consideration that prediction was before.
Absolutely,
And I
that's
had
why
no
there's
idea
that's
that
why there's
Belgium-
that's why there's bonus points.
Yeah, and I had no idea that Belgium was going to be this good.
Hey Jacob, nobody else other than you and I thought Belgium would be this good. I don't understand it. I mean, it was pretty easy to see based on their form going into this thing that they were going to be a pretty good team and they were going to be a hard out, right? I mean, I'm not the only one thinking this, am I?
I mean, yes, because of the fact that they were number one coming into this World Cup in the world, because of the fact that, of course, FIFA rankings, but legitimately, they looked really good, especially out of their group stage, which was,
Absolutely.
in a way, kind of a tough one for them to kind of challenge, especially them facing England, sadly, at the last game, which you can really tell from then. And then, of course, this is why I say that they might be eliminated the next round, because they struggled against Japan. They really did, especially that whole first half. Yes, you can say the second half they got better, but that first half they did not show up like the real Belgian national team that I had seen. That's why I see that they can be eliminated, especially against Brazil.
Oh, I mean, they absolutely could, but let's also keep in mind when looking at that match, the Japan-Belgium match, Japan defensively are one of the best teams actually in the world defensively. And that's not something that I just say lightly. That's something that's actually a known thing.
The organization.
The way they're one of the best at organizing their defense together. They're very good at communicating and just knowing where everybody's going to be defensively, and you see it in how they play. What they did against Belgium is they sat back and they absorbed every bit of pressure that Belgium threw at them. And to be fair, they did it for even really half, 2/3 of the match, up until the 60th minute roughly or so. Actually, it was even later than that, really, by the time they finally gave in. But I mean, it was one of those matches where, and I think there's a lot of teams on the world stage that would have struggled against Japan in the same way because of Japan plays such a different tactical style of football than a lot of other teams do. It's just one of those situations where Brazil doesn't play that way. Brazil plays right into Belgium's hands in that Brazil is going to push their outside backs forward, and that's going to free up Eden Hazard. That's going to free up their other Belgian players, Dembele, to get forward. And anytime you're going to free up those guys to get forward, one of those goals was on him. Let's give Inouye the credit he deserves for that screamer of a goal. That was by far one of the best goals of the tournament, just purely on distance and the pace it had on the ball. There was nothing Courtois could do with that ball whatsoever. But with that said, you're not going to see that very often from other teams. Brazil may try it because they can afford to do long range, but they don't want to. Their tactic and their desire is to push into the box and beat defenders off the ball. You're not going to beat Alderweireld off the ball. You're not going to beat Jan Vertonghen off the ball. You're not going to beat these other players off the ball. You're going to have to beat them either aerially, which Brazil can do, or you're going to have to beat them at distance. And that's why Japan didn't
Or
struggle.
by flopping.
Or by flopping. Even then, I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as you think, because Alderweireld is very good, and Vertonghen are very good, and Moussa Dembele are very good at dealing with floppers. They understand. They don't mind being physical outside the box, but once they're in the box, they're not pulling you down. They're going to let you run by them, and then they're going to cover back in a way that you're not going to be able to score the goal. So I say that confidently to say I still think Belgium will make the final, and I do think Belgium actually probably end up winning the World Cup, but then making the final for the extra 3 points that I really could use to just really seal this one home.
So Ray had Uruguay, Brazil, Croatia, and England. You had France, Belgium, Croatia, England. Jacob, you had France, Brazil, England, Croatia.
Yeah, I'm going with the safe pick here, even though I will be rooting for Uruguay.
I will not. I want to see France advance just because they've been playing such beautiful football with Mbappe in there. If I could get Mbappe on just repeat, this match would be fantastic. He just has looked so good. And for a 19-year-old, man, if I could get a kid that age on the Dynamo playing like that, just call it good night and go to bed.
Shit, when I was 19, I had no idea what I wanted to do for my future, and this guy's already in the World Cup.
Exactly. He's already beaten players, and he's scoring hat tricks in the World Cup type thing. I mean, the guy, he didn't, but he's not far off. And so, yeah, I want to see France continue to do well, and I think they will. I think they're a team to beat. I didn't give them nearly the credit going into this World Cup that I probably should have, because I didn't see enough from them before the World Cup to say, oh, yeah, this is a team that's going to be a tough out. And I've been proven wrong, and that's totally okay, because, to be fair, a lot of us were proven wrong on quite a few picks. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting quarterfinals, and I think the rest of the tournament is going to be interesting. We've seen the best teams go down consistently. We've seen lesser teams play up to the level, and that's not common for a World Cup consistently across multiple matches like that. And we saw it time and time again. In fact, and to be fair, Croatia may be one of the toughest teams in this tournament right now. And there weren't any of us that were predicting Croatia to get to this point. We predicted most of you, not me, predicted Croatia to get out of the group, and they did, but nobody really expected them to get beyond that. So credit to Croatia. That's a very good team, and they've got very good midfielders, but I need to see them against a good defensive team, and I haven't seen that yet. Who are they playing? Croatia and Sweden? Yeah. That'll be an interesting match. Sweden is a very good team right now. A lot better than I think any of us gave them credit for as well. Similar to Croatia, they've outperformed what we expected and what a lot of analysts expected out of them. So it'll be interesting to see how that pairing pans out. That's one of those I could also see going into extras and possibly into PKs because both are defensively sound, but they both have attacking options that are capable of getting the ball in the net. But yeah, it's been a very interesting World Cup. It's been fun to watch, which I can't say that very often actually about the World Cup because usually there's some real snooze fest matches, and there were in the group stages. But after that, there haven't been any that you couldn't. I can't afford not to watch these matches anymore because they're that good.
Yeah, you have a lot of late goals. Yeah, you have a lot of them going into
so
extra
many.
times and penalties. You had that game with Denmark and
Switzerland.
And Switzerland. Was it with who went so far into it was Croatia? No, Denmark. And Croatia.
Denmark and Croatia. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a fantastic.
Yeah, that was a fantastic
He
match.
had Schmeichel and
at PKs.
Yeah, at PKs,
so it's fantastic.
it was.
Well, it was just like watching England and
Colombia.
because hear me out, right? It was just like watching England and Colombia because the thing is England had so much pressure on them, and going into this, the whole thing was how are England going to fare if they have to go to PKs in a match because, as we all know, England suck at PKs typically, and then they came in and I was honestly rooting for them because I wanted to see them overcome that hump, get over that obstacle, mental obstacle, and they said repeatedly on the broadcast, these guys have been training this for 6 months straight. just PKs every day in practice. You're doing at least a PK in practice. They were doing everything from practicing the walk up from midfield all the way to the spot. I mean, intense training to make sure mentally they were ready. And to a man, they said it made a big difference because they knew exactly what to think. They knew exactly what they were going to do. There was no questions. There was no confusion over which way they wanted to go or them thinking about it too much. It was just go up, take your penalty, and walk away. And you see it in how they did it. I mean, 4 of them scored their PKs, and credit to Pickford for that save. That save was phenomenal, getting a hand on it, and especially when he's diving that way, but his hand's here, and he's got to lift it up and push the ball out of the way.
Yeah.
And of course, what's his name? Espina couldn't get enough of a hand on the one that went past him.
Yeah.
To take it into another round. But credit to my Tottenham boys. All 3 of them scored their PKs.
And just to clarify this, no Colombia fans. Mark Geiger is not corrupt. He's just that stupid.
He's just FIFA. I mean, what are they complaining about? I've read a lot of different articles.
One of the plays that they're complaining about, and this was in extra time, was there was a throw-in by
England.
by England. Passed it back to his defender, but I believe there like a ball was coming in. So
a second ball had already come on the pitch and it had been cleared out. The problem was in the process of doing that, multiple players were engaged in watching that ball go out. And as a result, the AR was directing the England player that had made the throw in to hold up, and he threw the ball in. So it was the AR, because of the AR saying hold on, that's what gave everybody the reprieve to say, okay, we don't have to worry about it. That's why Geiger called it back, because the second ball had already been the second ball came on the pitch and had been kicked out, and so it wasn't on the pitch at the point that that the ball was thrown in. But because of everything that was going on, Geiger wanted a clean restart, and I completely understand that, especially after what happened in that Nigeria game where Nigeria got screwed. Or no, it wasn't Nigeria. Who was it? Senegal. Senegal took advantage of a miscue by the ref in order to score a goal. Mm-hmm. And it was enough for them to win that match in a very surprising fashion, I might add, against Iceland. No, it wasn't Iceland. Who was it? Poland, thank you. The land's okay. Anyways, it's Thursday. Mm-hmm. But, Geiger didn't want to see that happen again. He didn't want an instance where he was the cause of something happening. And Colombian fans can be upset all they want, and I get it. I have plenty of Colombian friends that are understandably upset. But at the same time, the ref in this case, Geiger was not out to screw anybody over. He was that might have been one of his best refereed matches. It was very, very clean back and forth in terms of the fouls he was calling. They were on each side. They were very comparable in terms of what he was calling and what he wasn't calling. It wasn't like one got really egregiously fouled and then the other one wouldn't, and he'd call it. It was just, it was very fair about both ways, whether they want to hear it or not. That doesn't mean I like Geiger. I think the guy's a total tool. But at the same time, he refereed a fantastic match, and he needs some credit for that because it's on a very large scale, the biggest stage of them all when it comes to soccer. And, he performed well enough that I felt like, it kind of put a feather in the cap for the U.S., for Pro, which I don't get to say that ever, that it actually showed that Pro is competent and capable.
So how pissed off is Colombia media, Colombian Federation about Geiger that they actually invented a news saying that he was fined like $5,000 and that he was going to be, FIFA had cut him off or something, or like he was being reprimanded by FIFA.
Yeah, no, that comes from players and agents and coaches and things like that are saying things out of anger and frustration, and who knows, it could have came from Maradona for all we know too, as pissed off as he was. But the thing is we feel the same way when we watch an RGV or a Dynamo match. Our team is always the one being heavily fouled. We feel it's an egregious foul, and maybe it's really not. There was definitely 2 or 3 during that Dynamo match that went uncalled that I was like, are you kidding me, ref? I mean, the guy just literally just ran our guy over.
That NFL tackle should have been a red.
Jesus, are you
on
kidding me?
Sandy.
Yeah, no, it should have been.
How was that not called at all, by the way? I mean,
hashtag
yeah.
Pro. Well, okay, that ref was terrible to begin with. He had some of the worst calls I'd ever seen, and he was letting things get out of hand in general. It was bad. And from my vantage point, which is I'm right on 102. I'm just a few rows actually down from Edson in the press booth, and he was poor. He was pro poor. I mean, he was pro level poor, and that's pretty bad, you know. I mean, I've seen worse, but I've seen a whole lot better from pro. And he looked like he hadn't refereed a whole lot of matches. I'm sure he had, but he sure looked like he hadn't refereed a whole lot of matches.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to complain all I can complain for 90 minutes, and then I'm going to sure as hell take that last 7 minutes of the match because that's all I need. That will fuel me for the rest of this season. I don't care whatever. I mean, I want us to make the playoffs and want us to go deep in the playoffs, but I don't care what happens for the rest of the season. I'll get pissed off, but I don't care what happens for the rest of the season. I'm at least content with just that one match. Because we finally showed that we can come back in the final minutes, and we have the confidence and we have the capability to do it, and we don't choke.
Dynamo legend Philippe Senderos.
Philippe Senderos. Oh, man, and what a celebration, too. It was fantastic. And it was right in front of me, which is the best part of it all.
I like my reaction was obviously number one because I'm in the press box and I can't celebrate.
You can't celebrate. Oh, that's got to be so hard.
But number two, my only reaction that I could muster up, like even in that regard, I was like, no mames. That's like, because when I was live tweeting through Generation Orange.
Yeah, I saw.
And so when Mauro Manotas scored the first goal, that was in the 92nd minute.
Fantastic goal as well. His turn on that, or his touch on that ball, and then the run that he made.
So he left Simon behind.
Oh man.
So what I tweeted was
Simon had his number that entire match until that point.
Yeah. Oh. And so I tweeted as like, oh, it's goal Manotas, but it's too little, too late. And boom, here comes Sandy.
And the best part of that is I'm sitting there and so I'm sitting there in 102 and I'm looking over at Tyler and I'm looking at Wilmer like, are you going to call, I'm not Tyler, Joe, are you going to call Joe up, Wilmer? Come on, dude. You've got no time left on the clock. There's not going to be a counterattack goal on you. Just freaking bring him up. You at least get another guy in the box. And then, of course, the service comes in and it goes to Cindy. And I'm like, all right, never mind. I'm shutting up. Wilmer knows what he's doing. Apparently, I know nothing. It was fantastic. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, definitely one of the best games just for that.
And I'll say this, and this is for RGV fans as much as it is Dynamo fans. I took my who's 11 years old this year. I'm 12 years old? I don't know, 11 or 12. And she enjoyed the first 90 minutes. But, and of course, we didn't start for 2 hours late. So it was 10 o'clock by the time we really – I mean, it was like, what, 9:44? 9:48. So it was 9:50 by the time we kicked off. It was supposed to be an 8 o'clock kickoff. So it was essentially 2 hours. And, she was just kind of – you could tell, and I've said this before to other fans, when it happened, when we came back from the rain delay, I said, bear in mind the Dynamo's record when we come back from rain delays is not good. Consistently, we do not play well after a rain delay. And sure enough, 90 minutes, we looked piss poor. That's probably the worst football I've seen out of the Dynamo other than when they've been just completely trounced. But probably the worst at home I've seen in a while. So she's sitting there and she's having a good time. She's enjoying just being in the atmosphere and enjoying other fans and that kind of thing. And then they scored the first goal, we all enjoyed it. And she was like, oh, that's really cool. And she was telling me this after. She was like, oh, that was great. It was really cool. She goes, and then they scored the second goal. And I didn't think it went in the net because there was no way that actually happened. Like she was dumbfounded. And then she goes, and I was sitting there and then I realized it went in and I just lost it. I had no idea what was going on with her because I was in my own little world of, what's the word here? Exuberation. There we go. Exuberance. Yes, exuberance. Because it was just, it was that kind of moment. Like, I can't replicate this moment, but one time a year if I'm lucky. Anyways, so she just had a fantastic time. I say all that. When we left the game, it was 11 o'clock-ish, 11:15, something like that. Even almost, actually, I think it was closer to 11:30. And we get in my truck, and, she just can't stop talking about the match. Like, and this is a girl who, she likes soccer on TV. She likes to watch it, but she's not a fan per se, right? She's a casual, if you will. Mm-hmm. And, just nonstop, just couldn't stop talking about it. She was like, just kept going on and on. And it was the greatest thing ever because I'm sitting up and she's in the back seat and I'm in the front seat. And I'm just glowing like as almost like if I was a soccer dad, that's what this was. it was just like that, like she gets it. She understands. She gets it. It was just fantastic. I say all that to say if you're an RGV fan or a Dynamo fan, even if you're not an RGV fan, if you love soccer, and if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you love soccer. Or if you listen to Generation Orange, chances are you love soccer, or you love me or Edson, and that's totally okay too, but you probably love soccer as well. At the end of the day, you want to pass that on to kids. And whether it's your kid, if it's your, brother or sister's kid, if it's a, grandchild, if it's a friend's kid, whatever it is, take them to a match. There's nothing wrong with taking kids to matches. And, sure, there were curse words said a few times around, especially at how bad that ref was. But at the same time, it rolled right off her shoulder. She didn't care. She had a good time regardless of that. And if it had ended at 90, she still would have had a good time. But I can't replicate that experience for the rest of her life with what she got at the end of that match. And she's now a Dynamo fan for the rest of her life from that one moment, or those 2 moments, if you will, that 5 minutes. And it didn't cost me anything because I got the ticket for free. It cost me food. I fed her all match long. That was it. It cost me food. So soccer matches are a great family opportunity to take kids of all ages, teens and otherwise. And there are some kids that don't like sports. I get that. I totally understand that because my other nieces are that way. But if you have a kid that's into sports, why not take them to a soccer game? And like I said, if it's your brother's kid, your sister's kid, whatever, offer the opportunity. At least you can offer, and let the parents decide from there. But trust me, she will never be the same for that match. It was fantastic.
Definitely. So, I guess it's
really long-winded. I'm sorry.
It's all good. So that pretty much wraps up today's episode of Down in the Valley. If you enjoyed this broadcast, be sure to leave a like down there. We also be on the lookout for whenever this episode goes into podcast version on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Store, and iTunes, as well as the BGN website and down on the RGV's website. So you can go ahead and give it another listen. Be sure to share it with your friends. Let them know that we exist. We talk about the Toros. We talk about the Dynamo a little bit. We talk about World Cup, especially right now. There's a lot of soccer to talk about, and I think it's a perfect opportunity to know your thoughts on everything that it goes. We want this team to grow. And call in as well. Our phone lines will always be open. Actually, they were open, but nobody called.
That's what I'm saying. It's the end of the show.
Yeah. So we really thank you for listening in today. We'll see each other next Thursday. Next Wednesday is the Santos versus RGVFC match. So next Thursday will be and on Tuesday tune in to Generation Orange. Right here on Down in the Valley's channel at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, where we will talk about this match against LAFC. We'll talk about the match against Minnesota United. We'll talk more about some rumors and some transfers that have actually been confirmed right now, and how.
This won't matter to RGV fans, but I want to say this, and you can share this with them because I probably can't hear me. Pena is a TAM player. He doesn't take up a DP slot. They're going to sign a DP before the end of this transfer window.
Oh, man. We'll touch upon that on Generation Orange.
I already said that to you before. Just remember that.
Hashtag all hail Matt Jordan.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So, by the way, be sure to also check out Beautiful Game Network. Follow them on Twitter, on Facebook. Be sure to check out their sponsor, which is Roughneck Scarves at roughneckscarves.com. They are the official scarf supplier for MLS, USL, and NCAA. And Jacob, final thoughts?
Final thoughts are this. Yep. Let's get ready for Saturday. Let's get ready for especially Wednesday versus Santos. Should be fun. Let's go Toros.
All right, guys. So have a good night. We'll see each other next